So it snowed today in Houston, Texas. That's something that doesn't happen very often. So many of us weren't prepared for this. So in this video, I'm going to show you around my frozen garden and show you some of the ways that I attempted to protect my plants. But there's many more hard freezes ahead. We'll see if these work, but let's garden on. So the main thing I was concerned about with this hard freeze and snow event was my orange tree. It was very hard to cover, so I had a frost blanket. It didn't cover the whole thing, but I covered most of the front. And at the top of the tree, I used an old sheet, and at the base of the tree, I used some towels, wrapped that around with some duct tape. But I'm still concerned because today it was around 15 degrees, and they're predicting close to record colds tomorrow, around 8 degrees. For a citrus tree, this is incredibly cold, so we'll see if this works, but we're expecting 2 or 3 more days of hard freezes, so we'll see what happens. So on top of the orange tree I just showed you, I also have a grapefruit tree that's really tall, and there's no way that I was going to be able to cover the whole tree. So all I did was wrap the trunk, the bottom of the trunk, in a towel. So hopefully the tree is well established enough that it's going to survive this cold weather, but my hopes aren't really high. But my priority is the orange tree. So the most obvious way to protect your plants against a hard freeze is to use a frost blanket. But unfortunately, when news hits that you're about to have a hard freeze and you live in a climate like Houston, everybody rushes out to buy one, and these quickly sell out. I had some already, but if you don't have any and the stores are all sold out, you can use a cardboard box and put some plastic around the cardboard box, but don't put plastic directly on plants. That's just going to make things worse. So underneath this box, I have a cayenne pepper plant. Typically in Houston in February, we have 60 to 70 degree weather. And before this snow hit, we were actually getting weather close to that. So there was new leaves starting to form on this pepper plant. And then all of a sudden we get this week of 20 degree weather. So I don't know if this pepper plant is going to make it through this week. But what I did to try to protect the plant is I used a tomato cage and I wrapped that in saran wrap to try to create a little micro greenhouse. Then I put the box on top and then a plastic tarp on top of that. So we'll see what happens next week. So like I mentioned earlier, Houston typically has much warmer weather in February, and that's why Texas A&M AgriLife Extension recommends planting your potatoes the first week of February for my region. So that's what I did. But as you can see, this potato bed is covered in snow. So we'll have to see if the potatoes make it through it and end up sprouting and producing plants this spring. So the next thing I want to show you guys are my grapes. These have been growing for 3 years now with no fruit production. So I really hope I have some fruit this year. But I basically did the same thing to protect these as I did with the orange tree and the grapefruit tree. I wrapped the base of the grape vine in a towel and I put a frost blanket over the top. So we'll see what happens. So I also have 2 small citrus trees, a kumquat tree and a Meyer lemon tree. They are both in pots, so it was really important to protect them because they're really small. But unfortunately, I was out of frost blankets at this point, so I had to just use towels. But with the kumquat, I had a little bit more protection because I used a tomato cage and wrapped that tomato cage around with some towels. So hopefully they make it through this frost. So obviously the best way to protect a plant from a deep freeze is to bring it inside. That's if it's not too heavy. Those citrus trees I just talked about were obviously way too heavy to bring inside, but this dragon fruit I was able to bring it inside and protect it from the frost. Otherwise, there was no way it was going to survive this freezing weather. Alright everyone, so this hard freeze and snow event in Houston, Texas was really unprecedented. So I hope you guys found this helpful, these ways to protect your plants from a hard freeze. If you guys liked this video or found it helpful in any way, please consider giving it a like and subscribing for more gardening and cooking videos. Thanks for watching.